Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to us as an audio by one of our brother, and this is the translation. Let us say thank you to one of our admin who likes working behind the scenes. The message, it reads like this. Hello, how are you? Please post my story as anonymous. I was living in a hijacked building in Berea. That is how I almost joined Satanism, and thanks God, he saved me again. My name, you'll call me Temba. I am now a 45-year-old man. I'm scared to tell you exactly when this happened, so I'm going to change the year that it happened. I have also changed my years because I'm scared even to mention some of the things that I am about to tell you. I was born in KZN. I was someone that was just normal. I worked a small, nice job. I was working as a manager, and I was managing a couple of clothing stores, and these clothing stores, they were owned by Jewish people. And the man that I was working for, he saw that I was someone that was very hardworking. He then said, you know what, Temba, I have been having problems with my manager in Gauteng. The things that he is doing, he is not meeting his targets. When you are a manager for clothing shops, you have these like targets. They can tell you that they need 1 million rands within a very short period of time, and your duty is to make sure that you press the workers so that they make sure that they make these sales as quickly as possible. And I was moving from one place to another, and I did not want to leave Durban. I wanted to remain close to home, seeing my parents. I loved my mom quite a lot because my mom told me a story of the way that she gave birth to me. She told me that I was special because there was something that had happened in the family. My father, he had 2 wives that he had, and there was a lot of infighting between my mother and the other woman. Since my mother was the youngest one, the older woman, she thought that my mother had come because my father was someone that had money. According to village standards, we had a lot of cows. Those cows were destroyed when I joined Satanism because there were these tokoloshis that were drinking the blood of those cows. So my mother was seen as someone that was a gold digger, yet she did not want to get married to my father in the first place, but hers was an arranged marriage. My father and my mother, when they started to stay together, my mother told me of a painful story, how she found that my father's first wife would wake up at night and would come close to where my mother's room was naked, and she would drop some 5 cent coins at her doorstep. One day she had a tummy ache, so they were using an outside toilet. When she went to the toilet, when she was returning back, that was when she saw that the first wife, she was throwing some things at my mother's door, and then she confronted him, and that was when she fell pregnant, because it had been almost 2 years without her falling pregnant. So after she started to fall pregnant, she would always give birth to stillborn babies until she cried unto God about what was happening in her life. And then she said God answered him. Through me I came, and then my father stopped thinking about taking a 3rd wife. So I did not want to go far away from my mother, knowing that this was what my mother had to go through for me to be there. And when my Jewish boss told me that he wanted me to move from Durban, he said that there were going to be some benefits. I was going to be staying in a nice place, and I was going to have a company car that he was going to give to me. I said, wow, that is nice, because when I was in Durban, even though I was a manager managing all those clothing stores that they had, you won't even believe it, but my brother, what I used to do is that I would catch a taxi a manager of a big clothing shop that I don't want to mention by name, but I did not even have a car at all. So I then moved to Johannesburg. When I came to Johannesburg, my boss started by renting out a nice place for me, but then he told me that he could not pay for the place anymore. I said, what am I supposed to do then? He said, look for another place. Since I was already used to be staying where I was staying, I continued to stay there, even though the rentals, they were quite expensive. He said, I've already given you a car, Temba, at least pay for your rent. And my life collapsed quietly after I made the biggest error and the biggest decision in my entire life. Before I had gotten up on my feet, I took a huge loan from the bank and I bought a panel van that I started using for a logistic company. For I had met this other man in Jamestown who was using a panel van, and he was being a contractor at a certain mine. And I started making a lot of money, but because I had started my business with credit, when I could not get a contract, all hell broke loose. I had personal loans, I had credit cards, I even had school fees arrears because I had 2 kids that I had with my baby mama that I had left behind in KZN. And the place that I was staying, for my own safety, it was so expensive. I was unable to settle all of those debts. That panel van, I had not paid it off because I did not buy it cash. And then I had to move out of the place where I was staying after they had repossessed it and I had closed the company. I was still working for that same man, and when he found out that I had a business, he cut off my salary. I don't know why. I was no longer earning like the way that I used to. He took his car back. He said that he wanted to get it repaired and he never gave it to me. That is how I ended up being in Berea. I'll just change the places, and I was desperate. I was broke. Each and every month, and when my money would come into my account, it will quickly go to the debit orders that I would be owing from the previous month. And as for my accounts, they were always in the negative. No matter how hard I tried to make sure that everything is paid up, but the interest was showing me up. That is how I ended up in a hijacked building in Berea. I won't tell you the name of that building. So as for the rentals, it was something that I could afford. That is what made me to stay there. And when I started staying in Berea, I started to become friends with a lot of people because I am an outgoing person. I am a social person. So I started to become friends with South Africans like me, your security guards, your cleaners, and people that were just staying there. Some I was surprised that used to be even richer than I used to be, but they had fallen in life. And then there were others. These were your drug dealers, your thugs, people that stole from other people. And these were the ones that interested me quite a lot. I did not want to be friends with normal people. I want people that could tell me how to become rich so quick. I think that is where I eventually lost the plot. I became friends with this other man who was working with the Nigerians. So what surprised me about these Nigerians, they would come and live sometime in these overcrowded buildings, but they would be driving expensive cars. You would see a man parking an expensive vehicle outside of the building, and you'll be sleeping in an overcrowded area. One night, whilst I was just sharing a cigarette with this other man, I asked him how was it possible that someone that had so much money could drive that car and come and stay with us that were so poor. He told me that these Nigerians, they would come over and sleep at these overcrowded places so as to live their bad luck. I did not understand at that time what he meant by that, but he told me that if you are in the cult in which Obina, the guy that had just passed us because we were sitting by the stairwell when that man came up and went to the room where he slept with other South Africans that were so broke and so poor, yet he would sleep in that same room with them. He then told me that he did this not because he just enjoyed being in dirty areas, but this was the rule in his cult, for he had told my friend that I was with, and I was interested in joining such a cult because already I had made up my mind. I wanted to get rich quick, or to get rich or die trying. That was what I had decided to do at that time. When I asked my friend to speak with that Nigerian guy, Obina, it did not help quite a lot because he was very rude. He did not want to even entertain me, but I kept on pressing and pressing. That was when one day he called me to his car. I went there rushing and he said, "Get into the car." He was still rude, and then he asked me why I wanted to speak with him. I then briefly explained what had happened in my life, the business that I had started, and working for half of the salary now that I used to earn before, yet I was still the manager for the company that had brought me to Joburg, and I did not know why I was facing so much bad luck. He laughed at me. He was even punching the steering wheel of his car as he was laughing at me, and he said, "Oh, bad luck, bad luck. How can you stay in such a place and you expect to have good fortune in life? All the demons, they are here, don't you know that?" He then explained what he used to do at night. He said that he would wake up when everyone was fast asleep, and then he would curse the people that he would be sleeping with in that room, with everything that was bad in his life, all the bad energy he would leave to those people that he was sharing a room with. He then said that as long as you are staying in this hell hole, you are going to be poor for the rest of your life. For us, we come here to dump our negative energy in this place, and then we go back home and we live a beautiful life. So we kept on speaking, and I wanted to become part of this, and he said, "Okay, it's fine. I'm going to assist you, but if you want me to help you, tell me that you are not a coward." I said that, "No, I'm not a coward." He then said to me, "I want you to rape a woman to show me that you are not a coward." I can't talk about that part of my confession where I had to show him that I was not a coward. I was then taken to this other area, but in the suburbs, where I was taken underground, that big mansion, like you could go downstairs and there was a basement. And when I got in there, the room was empty except for chairs and candles and an altar in the middle of the room. They wiped my manhood, for I had spent days after I had done the wicked deed without washing my manhood. They washed it with oil, and that priest, even though he was a man, he was busy touching my manhood. That was the first time ever having another man to touch my manhood, and not to fight about it, because this was supposed to be done. A gruesome act was done on me that I can't mention. And then that was when I was asked by that other priest who was standing in front of everyone that they respected quite a lot. In this group, mind you, there were not only Nigerians, there were about 6 South Africans that you could see from the way that they looked, that these ones, they eat money. They know what money looks like. They were also there, but they avoided me as if I was not even a South African. From the moment that I stepped into that mansion, when I heard them speaking in Zulu, I went and I spoke with them. They blue ticked me, which was very surprising. How could they blue tick me, yet we were all South African? They acted as if they did not even recognize me at all, or as if they spoke another type of Zulu language that they could not understand what I had just said to them. And I just removed myself from where they were seated, and I was embarrassed because when I spoke with them, they just stopped talking and they all looked at me from my shoes to the hat that I was wearing, and then they started talking again, and the other Nigerians started laughing. So the man who had brought me to this shrine, he was speaking with the priest by then. I was too embarrassed. He came and they spoke with him, and he came to me and he said, what you have done is not allowed. You do not have the authority to speak with those that are not part of your brotherhood. You only speak with someone that is part of your brotherhood. So I had to wait until I was initiated for them to speak with me. When I was asked by the priest that question, he said to me, are you willing to lose what you love the most so that you can stop losing in life? I had no answer really. I was scared about what he meant by that. That was when they told me the conditions. I was supposed to do 6 things that they told me to do, and that is why I walked away. I was told to kill a person physically in that same house. I was supposed to either hijack a homeless person. They said that they were going to provide the necessary items that were needed, like a car and people that would assist me. We would drive around downtown at night, where most of the drug addicts sleep at night. I did not even know that it is a thing that people that are into money rituals, they can just pick up someone from the street and that person will never be seen ever again. That is how Satanism operates in Joburg. When they told me this, they said that you are supposed to kill a person physically so that the devil can accept you into his kingdom. I was told to sacrifice my mother. That was something that I could not do. To sacrifice my own mother, someone that had taken care of me. And if I was going to become rich, my first real money was going to come after I would have slept with a ghost. And I was told that I also had to make my children to become sick, mentally ill, and I will be enjoying. And when I heard that all these people that were there, they all had their children running mad, I was surprised, and I said, what kind of men are you people? You have your own children running mad. And they laughed at me, and they all said at once, he wants to judge us, yet he wants to be like us. And they all laughed at the same time. And when they told me that they had given me a chance to think about it, I did not want to do this. The way that I was kicked out of that hijacked building was by threats, for they doubled my rent. And when I kept on staying there without paying rent, one day there was this other South African gang of young boys that came and they dragged me to the streets. They were even showing me knives, saying that they would kill me. I wonder how much those people get paid so that they can remove the tenants that are no longer needed there. I did not even have any way to stay, and I just slept in the street. I asked for my boss for money. He sent me some money, and that is how I ended up finding a room in Soweto. I sat down and I wrote all the credits that I was owing to the bank. It was a lot. You know, it took me more than 2 years to get everything sorted out. All that I could get was the money to just go to work, and I will tell my boss that I don't have any money at all. I even showed him the money that I was owing, and he understood me. So whenever I would go to work, there is a car that I would take, drive around with it. Then at night when I knock off, I return it back to work. Then I catch a taxi. Now it is much easier. I just catch a Bolt and I go back home. This is where I am right now. But sometimes it gets difficult. Since I was nearly there, I saw what Satanism is like. I even performed half a step that they wanted me to perform to prove to them that I was willing to become a Satanist. Whenever I am broke, it becomes really difficult because I start to think about the opportunity that was once presented to me, and I kind of like blame myself for not taking that opportunity by both hands and using that opportunity to become wealthy in life. And when I am broke, it is really difficult. But here I am right now, Brother Nashi. I am glad that I did not end up sacrificing my mother or killing a person. Why would I want to kill someone who is just homeless? Then you drag him from the streets and you just kill him so that the devil can accept you into his kingdom. That is what I refused to do. To this very day, I would rather be poor, no matter how hard it is to survive as a poor person who is blacklisted for I was unable to fulfill my credit card obligations. This is my confession, my brother. When you see these rich people, sometimes you should ask yourself, how exactly are they making money? Especially the people that you see driving all of these expensive cars, yet they love to hang around places where poor people live. They are hanging around that place because that is where they dump their negative energy. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear brother. Strange things indeed they do happen in this world. Let us talk about this in the comment section.